Hello everybody! If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you! Short Story 718, The Sandwich Disaster. Upper Beginner. Tom worked in an office. Every day he ate the same lunch, a cheese sandwich. His colleagues laughed. "Tom, don't you get bored?" Tom said, "Never! Cheese is perfect!" One Monday, Tom wanted to be adventurous. He went to the café and asked, "Please give me the biggest, most exciting sandwich you have." The waiter smiled and brought a huge sandwich filled with chicken, lettuce, tomato, onion, and a very spicy sauce. Tom took one big bite. His eyes went wide. His face turned red. He shouted, "Fire! My mouth is on fire!" He ran around the cafe looking for water. A woman gave her a glass, but it was lemonade. That made it worse. Finally, Tom found a jug of cold milk. He drank it quickly, and the burning stopped. Everyone in the cafe laughed. Tom laughed too, but his shirt was covered in sauce and his sandwich was on the floor. The next day, Tom returned to the cafe. The waiter asked, "Another exciting sandwich?" Tom shook his head and said, "No, thank you, just cheese." But the story did not end there. Later that week, Tom's boss invited the whole office to a team lunch at the same cafe. Tom was nervous. He thought, "What if they all order spicy sandwiches? They will laugh at me again." At the cafe, his colleagues ordered big sandwiches with strange names: Dragonfire, Megavolcano, and Burning Tower. Tom whispered to the waiter, "Please, just cheese." The waiter nodded. When the food arrived, everyone stared at Tom's small cheese sandwich. "Come on, Tom," said his boss. "Try something new. Be brave." Tom smiled politely and said, "I was brave once. I survived. That is enough." His colleagues laughed, but kindly this time. They remembered his red face and his wild run around the cafe. One colleague said, "Tom, you are the hero of the office. You fight sandwiches and win." Tom raised his cheese sandwich like a trophy. "Yes," he said, "I am the champion of cheese." Everyone clapped, and even the waiter laughed. From that day, Tom became famous in the office. Whenever someone brought lunch, they asked, "Do you want to try this, Tom?" He always answered, "No, thank you. Cheese forever." And so Tom lived happily with his simple sandwich and never again fought against spicy dragons. Vocabulary notes. Adventurous, meaning willing to try new or exciting things, sometimes with a risk. Example, one Monday, Tom wanted to be adventurous. Similar words, daring, bold, brave, curious. Extra example, she felt adventurous and tried a new sport called paddleboarding. Spicy, meaning having a strong, hot flavor from spices like chili or pepper. Example, a huge sandwich filled with chicken, lettuce, tomato, onion, and a very spicy sauce. Similar words, hot, fiery, peppery, seasoned. Extra example, the curry was too spicy for me, so I drank water quickly. Shouted, meaning spoke very loudly, often because of strong feeling. Example, he shouted, "Fire! My mouth is on fire!" Similar words, yelled, cried, screamed, called out. Extra example, the coach shouted instructions across the football field. Trophy, meaning an object that shows victory or success, often raised proudly. Example, Tom raised his cheese sandwich like a trophy. Similar words, prize, award, medal, symbol. Extra example, she held the trophy high after winning the tennis match. Champion, meaning a person who wins or defends something strongly. Example, yes, he said, I am the champion of cheese. Similar words, winner, hero, victor, defender. Extra example, he became the champion of the quiz competition at school. Story written by Smart GPT-5. Image created by Smart GPT-5. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Hey there, and welcome! So today we're going to unpack a story that seems, well, pretty simple. It's about a sandwich disaster. Yeah, you heard me right. But believe it or not, this story has everything to do with a classic narrative structure. You guessed it, the hero's journey. We're going to explore how a spicy sandwich can actually teach us a ton about courage, about failure, and maybe most importantly, about the triumph of just being true to yourself. All right, so let's meet our hero. His name is Tom, and this one quote pretty much tells you everything you need to know about him. Never. Cheese is perfect. I mean, that captures his entire worldview, right? This is a guy who knows what he likes. He is a man of conviction, living in a world that is defined by predictable and, let's be honest, cheesy comfort. You know, every hero's journey has to start somewhere ordinary. For Luke Skywalker, right, it was a desert planet. For our hero, Tom, it's an office. And in this office, his whole world, his entire universe, revolves around one single thing: eating the exact same cheese sandwich every single day. And you know what? He's perfectly happy with that routine. He's like a king in his castle of cheese. But the outside world, in this case, his laughing colleagues, they're already starting to poke at his perfect little bubble. They're planting those seeds of adventure, even if he doesn't realize it yet. And then it happens. One fateful Monday, something just shifts. Our hero, maybe he's feeling just a tiny flicker of curiosity, decides to answer that call to adventure. He's about to set off on a quest, leaving the safe harbor of his cheese sandwich for, well, uncharted culinary waters. Now, the key word here, and you can see it in the definition, is risk. To be adventurous means you have to accept risk. And that decision right there, that is the absolute crucial first step that every single hero has to take when they decide, okay, I'm stepping outside my comfort zone. So here you can see the crossroads he's staring at. On one side, you've got the old way, comfort, safety, the sandwich he's always known. And on the other, the new way, the thrill, the potential danger, the total unknown. And you know what? He chooses the unknown. And this is it. This is the point of no return. The challenge has been accepted, and it's been served up in the form of this massive, kind of intimidating sandwich. And did you catch that last ingredient? A very spicy sauce. A little classic foreshadowing, maybe? Okay, so now we enter what's called the ordeal. Every hero, and I mean every hero, has to face a great trial, right? A moment of absolute crisis. And for Tom, that trial is about to kick off with one single fateful bite. And there it is. You can just picture it, right? His eyes go wide, his face turns beet red, the battle has officially begun. That one little quote just perfectly captures the pure shock of a guy whose perfectly predictable world has literally just been set on fire. You know, word choice is everything in a story like this. It doesn't say he said it or even cried it. No, he shouted. That word itself just carries so much weight. It's pure, unfiltered panic. This is that moment where the hero realizes, oh no, this challenge is way, way bigger than I thought. And here's the dragon. This is the monster our hero has to slay, the spicy sauce. I mean, think about it. In another story, it might be a literal, fire-breathing dragon. But for Tom, this invisible fiery force has just turned his lunch into a full-on life-or-death struggle. So in this moment of total crisis, Tom goes through 3 really clear stages. First, just pure panic, running around looking for water. Then, he makes a classic mistake. He tries a solution that actually makes things worse. We've all been there, right? And finally, salvation. He finds the cold milk and stops the burning. So, he survived the battle, but he definitely didn't come out unscathed. He's got the scars to prove it. His shirt is a mess, his prize, that giant sandwich, is on the floor. This is that quiet moment right after the big climax, where the hero just has to sit and think about the true cost of his adventure. All right, let's get into the final act, the road back. Because a hero's journey isn't really over until he gets back home, right? He has to come back changed, carrying some kind of new wisdom, some kind of reward.
But wait, it's not over yet. He has one last test to face. He has to confront his big, messy failure right in front of the very same people who saw him at his most vulnerable. That fear of being laughed at, that's his final demon. He has to conquer it.
And look at what his colleagues are ordering. Dragonfire, Mega Volcano, Burning Tower. I mean, the names themselves are a challenge, aren't they? It's like the menu is daring him, tempting him to try again, to prove he's not a coward. That world of spicy adventure is calling him back one more time.
And this is the crucial turning point. With this one simple sentence, Tom rejects the call. And get this, he's not running away from fear. No, he's armed with the wisdom of his experience. He's basically saying, I faced my dragon, I survived, I have nothing left to prove. That is powerful stuff.
So in this moment, he doesn't just go back to being his old self. He completely transforms. He's not just the guy who likes cheese sandwiches anymore. No, he embraces that identity with a kind of pride and confidence that he absolutely never had before.
And you know what? He has truly earned this title. He defended his own personal truth against peer pressure, against the temptation of some other kind of adventure. He has become a true, honest-to-goodness champion of cheese.
I love this because it perfectly captures his transformation. He holds up that simple sandwich, but it's not just lunch anymore. It's a trophy. It's a symbol of his hard-won victory over that spicy dragon, and maybe more importantly, over his own self-doubt. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway from Tom's epic, cheesy journey? Let's break down the key lessons, the wisdom that he brought back from his big adventure.
What's cool is that this story gives us a whole new vocabulary for our own, our own sandwich disasters. You know, from that moment you decide to be adventurous, to facing something spicy, to surviving that moment of shouted panic, and finally becoming a champion by raising your own personal trophy. At the end of the day, Tom's story really teaches us something important, that sometimes the biggest adventure isn't about changing who you are. It's about learning to embrace and even celebrate who you've always been. So it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. What's the cheese sandwich in your life? What's that simple truth that you're willing to champion, no matter what?